everyone, and welcome back to Flo's Corner. So today is October 31st. So that means it is Halloween. So happy Halloween to all of my lovely subscribers. Happy Halloween, happy Halloween, happy Halloween. If you're going trick-or-treating, if you are dressing up, if you have your little babies and you have them dressing up and everything, please be safe out there, y'all. And I really hope you all have a wonderful holiday. Get some of that candy. Make sure you brush your teeth after you eat all that candy. And just have fun. So for this video, I wanted to go over the order of draw once again. I actually sat and made a PowerPoint for you guys to follow along with me. I know that I have been getting a lot of messages about the order of draw, and I just tried to make it simplified enough where you guys can understand it just a little bit more. You all know I always speak about it, that the order of draw just stays pretty much standard all across the board when it comes to phlebotomy. Pretty much every job you may have in phlebotomy, you may not always have your requisitions or orders to at least tell you the color of the tubes. This happens a lot. You may work for like a diagnostic laboratory and they will tell you the tests that you will need to draw do this blood draw for this patient, but it may not tell you the actual color of the tube. And I know that has been a big thing because a lot of I guess newbies has been coming in and they've been struggling with trying to understand the test that goes with what certain color tube. So like you guys already know, in my last order of draw video, I answered the question, which is order of draw, which is pretty much what test goes into this tube. And pretty much that's really what the order of draw is really about. Different tubes, different color tubes and things like that have their own additives in them. They go to different departments when it comes to what you're drawing. Obviously, if you're not really so much of like a medical lab technician, you won't really need to study so much of the department that this certain tube may go to. But it's good to know if you just ever want to cross that threshold someday or look better on your application or anything like that. So I just wanted to make a video where you guys can actually kind of sort of get the gist of what type of testing goes in what certain color tube. This is definitely, I do recommend studying your order of draw while you're in your course or prior to your course and even graduating after your course. You never want to just lose that feeling of, I don't remember the order of draw, especially if you was to get hired, because like I said, do not just get fixated on the color of the tube, because you may have jobs where you have requisitions and where you have orders that may ask for the certain test, and then you're sitting there kind of scounging around after every patient of which tube, what tube color is this test for. So you really don't want to do that sometimes, especially if you work somewhere where it's a little bit high paced. You know, that may slow you down a little bit. You can always do it. You know, Google is always everybody's friend nowadays, and nowadays they have a chat GPT, you know, things like that, or you can ask your supervisor or your phlebotomist and however, but it's good to at least have this knowledge. So let's get right into it. So the first top tier of the order of draw comes your blood cultures. Blood cultures, their department heads to microbiology. So pretty much blood cultures are used to see if a patient has a bacterial and or fungal infection. With your blood cultures, you will have to perform a sterile procedure before you stick your patient. You will learn all of that in your training. You will also go through the flow of how to be prepared for a blood culture draw. Normally, sometimes when you get hired, and they will teach you on the job when you are during your training. Blood cultures are normally in some type of like glass bottles. I have seen them in plastic bottles as well, and they come in 3 different colors. They are aerobic and anaerobic. The green top is aerobic, The orange top is anaerobic and the yellow top is aerobic for pediatrics. You have to perform your sterile procedure when collecting your blood cultures because it is a big thing because you can contaminate the specimen. And contaminating the specimen is a big thing, especially when I was working at a hospital, because literally it is something that cannot be tested on and you will have to redo the blood cultures once again, which will make the lab technicians downstairs pretty upset because yeah, it's a contaminated specimen and now here we go. We got to go back to the patient, re-stick them and do the sterile procedure again. It just becomes this big crazy old thing. And yeah, underneath our blood cultures are gonna come the light blue top, which is going to be your sodium citrate tubes. This is for the department of the coagulation department, which pretty much is going to deal with all of the blood that is not clotting. So the additive in the light blue top, which is the sodium citrate, is going to be sodium citrate. That is the additive for the light blue top. So tests like the PTTs, D-dimer tests, D-dimer quantitative tests, INR tests, fibrinogen tests, lupus tests when you're testing for lupus, and also blood clotting functions, which is going to be considered your coagulation studies. So like I said before, you're going to be having to know sometimes the actual test. So when you see stuff like PT, fibrinogen, D-dimer quantitative tests, things like that, you know that you're going to be using your light blue top, which contains your sodium citrate. Next is going to be our plain red top tubes. So the department for this is going to be serology, immunology, and chemistry. The additives are going to be none, and this is a clot activator. So these tubes are normally used for specialized tests or therapeutic drug monitoring. Most of the time when you're using the red plain top tube, you are normally going to be using them for specialized tests or as a discard tube. And a discard tube just pretty much means like sometimes if you just only going to draw like a light blue top, or if you was going to draw like a heparin or something like that, you're going to need to get the air out of the needle when you place it in a patient's arm. So you use a discard tube, which is normally going to be your plain red top tubes, to get the suction of the air flowing. And then once you remove to get that blood flow into the tube, then you're going to fill up the next tube, which is going to be like your blue top or your heparins, which is going to be your green tops. And pretty much you just discard that one because you didn't need the plain red top tube at all, but it was just to help to get the air out of the tube. Remember that these tubes are a vacutainer system, so sometimes you do have to use a discard tube to get the blood flow and blood draw so you can fill all of your tubes to the max. Next, we're going to have our serum separator tubes. These are our SST tubes. These are used for, the department for this is going to be chemistry and serology, and the additive is going to be the serum separator gel and a clot activator. Serum separator tubes literally test so many different types of testing when you're using a serum separator. So pretty much it's a clot activator. So when you have the blood clot, you're going to spin it, centrifuge it, and it's going to turn into a serum, and that's normally what it's going to be tested. So that just means the red blood cells is going to be at the bottom of the tube, while the serum is going to be pretty much above that in the serum separator tubes. If you're working in a hospital, you may not be the one to centrifuge it. I didn't centrifuge anything when I worked in a hospital, but once I worked for a clinic, I had to centrifuge. So you would clearly let it clot, and then you would centrifuge it in the allotted time that it was supposed to clot, and then it turns into a serum, and then you put it in the fridge. So SSTs check for so many tests. Oh my goodness. So you have tests like these: the complete metabolic panel, the basal metabolic panel, lipid panels, your vitamins like vitamin A, vitamin B12, vitamin E, vitamin D. You can check for HIV. Pregnancy tests, like blood tests, are done using an SST. Your thyroid testing, like T2, T3, T3, T4, your estradiol, your testosterone. There are so many tests that are normally collected in an SST that will go to the lab and be normally worked on from the serum. So pretty much this, I have noticed that there are so many more tests with the SSTs that gives you give the patients their results. So it's a lot, but honestly, doing SSTs the way that you do them, you will get used to these tests, because you're going to be noticing that, especially if you work like at certain clinics and doctors normally perform certain blood draws on their patients, which is like the same type of testing for the blood draws when they're doing like complete panels of things. You will get used to it quick, honey, like quick. You'll just know, oh, HIV, SST, oh, all the thyroid testing, SST, you know, your BMPs, your CMPs, it will come like natural for you, because SST we just use the most. And obviously you're going to be drawing a little bit more of SSTs and things like that, because, you know, they're panels and stuff. So, you know, you have to have different tubes, you know, because you have to have enough of the specimen and serum and all that fun stuff. So you will learn about SSTs quick. Next on our list is going to be our green tubes, which is our heparin tubes. So we do have a light green and we do have a dark green. One is considered lithium heparin and the other is considered sodium heparin. The department for these is going to be chemistry, and the additive is going to be heparin. So for your heparin tubes, you are going to be drawing tests like quantiferon, ammonia, flow cytometry, arterial blood gases. I always say glasses. It's so weird how I always put the L before the A. Arterial blood gases. There we go. Renin tests, aldosterone tests, and even electrolyte studies. So normally when it comes to the heparins, you will learn each. You will learn the lithium and you will learn the sodium. And pretty much I would definitely say study those two a little more, because you don't want to draw a certain test that goes into the lithium, into the sodium, because it may affect the results of that blood draw. So it's definitely good to get a little bit more infatuated with which one is which. And like I said, it's almost like, it's not like the SSTs where you're going to be drawing a lot of heparins all the time. You may obviously working in a hospital, because, you know, everything and everyone, you be doing all types of blood draws and things like that, using all the tubes in the world at a hospital. But it is just pretty easier for me, because like I said, we were told exactly which of the heparins to use. So it'll say like the light green one or the dark green one, and I'm like, oh, this is easy. You know, and keep it moving. But like I said, in working in the clinic, it may be a little bit different, but you should have something literally sitting around where it's going to show you like the order of draw, and it's going to show you like the tests for them underneath the order of draw, which is like, okay, lithium heparin, you're going to do your quantiferons, you're going to be doing this one, you're going to be doing that one, and then a sodium heparin, you're going to be using, you know what I mean? So, but like I said, you're going to learn all of this in your phlebotomy journey. So next we have our lavender tops, which you can also call your purple tops. The department is going to be hematology, and the additive is going to be EDTA. So some of the tests are going to be things like complete blood counts, which is going to be your CBCs, platelet counts with auto diff or without auto diff. Things like your hemoglobin A1C is going to be drawn into a lavender top as well. You check vitamin K, sickle cell tests like PTH, which is the parathyroid hormone, and you can also check the sedimentation rate. So EDTA is another common tube that you're probably going to be using a lot. These are going to be the same thing. They do not clot. You will normally have whole blood, draw the patient, and then you will place it into the refrigerator when you are using EDTA purple lavender tops tubes. So next we have our pink tops, which is also under the Department of Hematology, and the additive is EDTA. You will see a lot of the pink tops when you are working in like blood banks, because they test for immunohematology, which is blood bank studies. So you will see them a lot when you're working at blood donation places or blood banks. Normally they do antibody screenings as well using the pink top, and they also do blood typing. And blood typing just means when someone asks, what is my blood type? Normally it will be drawn underneath the pink tube top. Here and there, I used the pink top in the hospital. And that was only, I think, when we were like running really low and they had to order more lavender. And then whenever we would have like an EDTA test to draw, they were like, oh, just use the pink ones instead. I'm like, oh, okay. Next, we have our gray top tubes. The department is going to be chemistry, and the additive is going to be sodium fluoride / potassium oxalate. So pretty much it could be either or that they're using for this certain gray top tube. So some tests include the fasting blood sugar. So normally sometimes when you come in and they told you not to eat anything and they're trying to check your glucose levels and it's a fasting because you have to fast and things like that, you will use the gray top tube to draw and get that fasting blood sugar levels. You can also check the glucose tolerance test using the gray top as well, which is something you do to check for diabetes and your glucose levels and things like that. You can also check for blood alcohol levels and bicarbonate levels as well. And normally when I used to draw the gray ones in the hospital, we had to break open a frozen pack. And once we draw, we would put it in like kind of the frozen pack would be like that. We would put the tube in the middle and then kind of close it like that, put it in one of the biohazard bag, and we would shoot that down the chute straight to the lab because there was just something that needed to be on like cold, well, I would say on ice, but cold, and had to be shipped down fairly quickly. It wasn't meant to actually get to room temperature or anything like that. So you will learn all of this in your training, like I said before. Next, we have our royal blue tops, and this department is the toxicology, and the additive can be none or EDTA. This is one I had described in my other video, that there are two different royal blue tops, one that has no additives in it and the other one that has EDTA. And I did explain that story that I had mixed them up one time when I was drawing a royal blue one, and yeah, that was a big old thing because the patient had to come back and get redrawn, which was not fun. And some of the testing include trace minerals in the blood. It tests for heavy metals, micronutrients. It also tests for mineral levels and also drug levels as well. This is one that I draw seldomly, not all the time, especially when I was in the hospital. I don't think I've ever, did I ever? Royal blue? Well, I don't want to say ever, I might have. I draw, that's a good one. I'm gonna have to think back about that. But I know definitely when I worked for the diagnostic laboratory, I drew the royal blue one a little bit more than I did when I was in the hospital. Can I remember? I can't remember, y'all. I was drawing the royal blue ones, I know for sure, in the diagnostic lab. I know that for sure, but I'm gonna have to get back to y'all on that. In the clinic, I barely drew that blue, no royal blue one. Just being real with y'all, that it was barely, I don't think, at all, to be real with you. The royal blue one, no. I don't think, when I was working in the clinic, no. Now we have our yellow top. The department is microbiology and blood bank. So the additive for the yellow top is going to be ACD solution, which stands for acid citrate dextrose. This is another immunohematology test tube, just like the pink one, because they do sometimes like blood bank studies and stuff like that. Like they can check for the ABO group of the blood, the RH type, if your blood is RH positive or RH negative, tissue testing, genetic, tissue DNA testing, genetic testing, paternity testing, and virology studies. Here we have some test tubes that we do not use so often, but you may see in your phlebotomy career. So one is going to be the tan top. The department is going to be toxicology, and the additive is the K2 EDTA, and this pretty much just checks for lead. I mentioned this one before in my other video, and this is the RST, and this is the the rapid serum tube. So RST is pretty much similar to the SST, which is the serum separator tube. The big difference is that the RST is rapid. It's quick, it clots faster, and this is used normally for stacked serum testing. So instead of waiting the long amount of time that you have to wait for your blood to clot in a SST, you will be cutting it down fairly quickly, like 5 to 9 or 10 minutes for the blood to clot, and then it can be spun, and then we can find out what's going on like that. Quick, I forgot to mention, the additive is the clot activator. Yes, so you may not see the RST often. And if you do, it may be more on a hospital setting, but don't quote me on it. You may find it in other places like clinic, diagnostic laboratory, just depends. Next, we have the black top, which is the blood sedimentation rate testing tube. I've seen these once in a blue, and they're not in glass. I've seen them actually in plastic bottles too, but online, I think. Yeah, online. They're always glass. Yeah, they're always glass. And pretty much they are very simple because I don't think I've never used one. Or maybe I have once or twice. Y'all, I gotta go back in my memory bank and think about a lot of tubes, and it's a lot, and I can't honestly remember. The older I get, the more I'm forgetting. I might have used it. I don't know. I've seen it. I mean, it's something. I'm gonna tell you about it anyway, but yeah. Don't quote me. I might have used it. I don't know. The additive in that is going to be sodium citrate, and it just checks for the ESR, which is the erythrocyte sedimentation rate. That is all I have. I really hope that I helped someone a little bit more deeper than my first video. My first video, I was looking at myself, I was like, wow, girl, you was skinny. Oh my God. I was like, really skinny. But anyways, I really love that order of draw video was definitely getting a lot of play and really teaching everyone. And I tried to be as accurate as I could be when I was making that video. I just wanted to get a little bit more in depth with this video and actually showing you guys a little bit more and the departments and the additives that's used in these tubes. And I really hope that I was really super helpful. I just want to thank you all for all your patience with me. I know it's been a while since I had posted a video. Your girl got a lot going on, y'all. Got a lot going on. And woo, sometimes, you know, doing the content is fun. It is everything. But sometimes you just don't be having enough time in the day. And I do want to apologize. But I also want to thank you all for still keeping up with me and just being the support and asking your questions and, you know, all of this fun stuff. I really love that I'm still making a difference in the phlebotomy world. I'm so truly blessed to have you all be a part of this journey with me and learning with me while I'm still learning and with my experience and all the fun stuff. You guys all know to definitely check out my playlist so you can see all of my videos in one little playlist, and you can watch them and binge watch them as much as you can. Keep commenting on anything you guys are unsure about or whatever. I do my best to get back at you all and let you know. If there's something I don't know, I will look it up myself, you know, and I just want you guys to just keep your head up in the phlebotomy world. I know we're going through a terrible time right now in the economy and things like that, but do not give up on your phlebotomy certifications and programs and things like that. If you guys want to join the phlebotomy world, I always egg you on to do so. Or if you want to join another healthcare field or anything like that, you got this. Never give up, never give up, never give up, never give up. I'm here for y'all. Any questions, comments, concerns, definitely leave it in the comment section down below. You guys can answer on any of my posts if you guys want to know anything. Remember, I do have my social media. I will link them here. I have my Instagram if you guys feel more comfortable DMing me or anything like that. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and I hope to see you all in my next video.